Hey everybody, Eagle Run 23 here. Today we are talking about pistol calibers. I've got here a 9mm and a 45 and a 38 special. It's a 150 grain lead, kind of an interesting 38 special, but this is some vintage Western ammunition here. When you're deciding on a cartridge for a pistol, you've got to ask the first question, what do I want it to do? And there are tons of people who will give you tons of advice. Some of it is good, some of it is bad. Bottom line is, if you're going to choose a firearm first, most likely that firearm is available in the caliber that you want. You might find some exceptions to that, but for the most part, if you like this style of firearm, you think it'll fit your hand, or you've felt it, you've shot it, they're going to probably make it in the 9, the 40, the 45. Most likely it's going to be available in the cartridge that you want. I highly recommend that you find someone or you rent and you get to shoot a couple of different things. The worst thing you can do is buy a gun in a caliber that you end up not liking. And then you end up having problems down the road. You don't want to carry it. You don't want to shoot it because for whatever reason, it's not comfortable in your hand to shoot, or it just doesn't fit the job that you wanted it to do. And there are a couple of different jobs that pistols can do. Most people are looking for a defensive situation handgun, and they're looking for something they can shoot recreationally at the range. It's nice when those two can be done by one gun, and that's kind of what we're looking for when we're looking for get them one gun that'll do a couple of different jobs. And as they expand their, gun ownership, they'll find more specific guns to do more specific jobs. Now, I don't own a Glock, but this is a Glock clone. This is available in 9mm, 40, they're a little different frame, but you can do 45, 10mm. All of those are available in a gun that looks exactly like this, just maybe dimensionally a little bit different. This is a Glock 19 size gun, and this is the magical size for most people. Even if you're a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger. So when I hold it in my hand, you can see there's a little bit hanging out, and sometimes I'm doing good to get 2.5 fingers on the grip. But this is a great size for most people. This is very carryable for most people. You can obviously carry smaller, but when you go to the smaller side, then you lose some of that fun factor at the range. Now this one is a smaller, quite a bit more carryable, much more compact. You can see it's several inches smaller in most directions, especially if you take the magazine out. And this is about as small as I would go. You can see I've got the extension there so I can have a little bit more edge for a finger, and it actually fits okay. But knowing what I know about shooting this gun is not super enjoyable to put a bunch of rounds through at the range. This is pretty much a carry only gun. And then a full-size frame. This is a Glock 17 size, and it is also in 9mm, and it's much larger. All three of my fingers fit great on here. This would be on the big side for most people to carry. I have carried this gun. It's fine for me, but if you're on the smaller side of anything, this is a big gun to put into your waistband. You'll find a lot of people are very staunchly passionate about their calibers. I tend to not get too bogged down into those details. I can appreciate several calibers to do several things. For me, I pretty much only have pistols in 9mm. Now, saying that, I obviously have a 45 and a 22 and some other calibers, but as far as most of my pistols and most of my ammo, I have chose the 9mm. And I chose it for a couple of different reasons. One is it's prolific. There is 9mm ammo available anywhere and everywhere, and it's relatively expensive. I can also reload for this caliber. Reason number two, it's a big enough bullet. It's 115 grains. You can bump up to 124, even a little bit larger depending on, your powder, but you can get pretty readily available 115 and 124 grain bullets, which is quite a bit of bullet flying through the air in order to stop what it's trying to hit. I also like the size of it and the weight of it. You can get several rounds into a magazine. Some of these guns hold 15 or more rounds, and it's great to have that much capacity without having to carry extra magazines. The 9mm is really an easy choice, and it's probably one of the better choices for most people in most situations. If you're looking for something a little bit more zippy, a little bit more speed, similar weight though, and similar size, the 40 cal is not a bad option. I'm not a fan of 40 cal, mostly because it's just not as readily available. The guns that you would choose, there are a couple limited options. They don't have quite as many options. 9mm is pretty much the king as far as compatibility goes. And then you step up from the 9 and the 40, and you get into a 10mm, or a 45. And this is a 45 here. It's similar in size to a 10mm, but not exactly the same. I don't have a 40 or a 10 mil to show you. The 45 is a little bit larger than the 10 mil, but this is a bullet that is traditionally found in a 1911, but there are several other guns that are chambered in 45, and it's a good bullet. It's been around for a long time. It's relatively prolific, not as much so as the 9mm, but as far as ease and finding, this is probably the second choice. Now, it is quite a bit more expensive to shoot, the 9mm being a little bit more economical to shoot. The 45, ultimately its price is the reason why I kind of really quit shooting those guns about 6 or 8 years ago, just because the ammo is kind of expensive and a little bit harder to get. But it's a solid quality round. If you choose a caliber, or you can't go wrong with a 45. It's heavier and a little bit slower moving, but no one can question the knockdown power of a 45. It's definitely there for you. So overall, I'm looking for how easy is it for me to find this caliber on the shelf? Does it fit the style or size of gun that I'm looking for? What is the capacity? How many does it hold? When we were talking about those 1911s, you only get 7 rounds of these. Half as many rounds as you can stick in the same size gun in 9mm. It's quite a bit larger, and it definitely cuts down on the capacity. So cost, effectiveness, capacity, intended use, availability, these are all the things that you're looking for in a caliber. Go ahead and leave me down below what your favorite is. Go ahead and tell me also why the 40 caliber is no good. And thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next video.